Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Now, I am going to share with you my reflections of the midterm. The first topic that I will be going to share with you is about the act of the Philippines independence. A fervent nationalist who served the country, Ambrosio Bautista, in times of conflict and defended its citizens until its untimely death in 1903, is regarded as one of the unsung and unhonored great Filipinos. Despite his considerable contributions to the cause of the Philippines revolutions. So Ambrosio Bautista was the war councilor and special delegate chosen by the dictatorial government of Don Emilio Aguinaldo to officially announce and seal the Declaration of Independence. A U.S. Army commander who observed the declaration was one of the 98 signatories of the Philippine Declaration. On June 12, 1898, the declaration was made in the town of Cavite Bajo, province of Cavite. The Philippine national flag, which had been made in Hong Kong by Mrs. Marcela Agoncillo with help from Lorenza Agoncillo and Delfina Herbosa, was formally raised and the Philippine National March was played in front of the public for the first time. Nevertheless, the Declaration of the Philippines Independence was enacted on August 1 after numerous towns had been set up in accordance to the dictatorial government's regulations. The declaration is started with a reminder of the civil guard atrocities that go unpunished, as well as the unfair deportations and distinguished Filipinos that General Blanco ordered the archbishops and friars ask in order to keep the people in the dark. For the current generations to learn when and how the Philippines were liberated, Ambrosio Bautista Act of Declarations of the Philippine Independence served as a foundation. We gain deeper in how the Philippines was liberated from the horrors brought about by the Spanish colonization, because to the facts that it gave, not only by the declaration of our independence but also background information on how things came to be. Reading this story made me thankful that we have our heroes who are prepared to give their lives to it in order to end suffering from their people. It also helps me to understand the freedom that we have today. Knowing our history is progressively made me feel more like a true Filipino who values the history and the heroes, and I'm very thankful of that. So I will be going to proceed in the next topic. The next topic that I'm going to share is all about the 1899 Constitution of the Philippines, 1899 Constitutions of the Republic of the Philippines. So the Philippines was colonized by the Spaniards and other nations for the greatest amount of time. As the result, the Malolos Constitution, which was enacted by the Malolos Congress, embodied the citizen rights. It is very important to protect not just the country of the Philippines but also to its people. It is beneficial to people to have no fear, because there is a law who's protecting them against the exploitative Spaniards or other country who have a bad motive against our Philippine country. The constitutions established such restrictions so that citizens would know what their government could and could not do. The constitutions was based on the important principles that help to ensure government by the popular sovereignty, to guarantee the democracy and the rights of the Filipino people. So students can learn about accepting their fundamental human rights as well as the fundamental ideas that have guided the formation of our society through the Constitution. Thanks to the teachers who also guided us in a way of teaching us about the history and because in this generation there's a lot of fake news about our history. I can say that I'm proud of being a Filipino because Filipino is very gifted in a way of love, respect, and that can be a thing that our country can be proud of. So that would be all. So the next topic is about Treaty of Peace of US and the Kingdom of the Spain. The United States went to the war for the three different reasons: social, economic, and political. These were caused by the commercialism and nationalism. The Spanish-American War was began on April 25, 1898 due to series of escalating disputes between the two nations. They're fighting without thinking that what would be the outcome and what will be the effect, not just in the country but also to its people who just wanted to live happily and peacefully. In order to craft and put an end to the war after 6 months of fighting, commissioners of the United States and Spain convened in Paris on October 1, 1898. Senator William Day and others made up from the American people, American Peace Commission. They just want peace to its people. They just want peace for its people, and especially their territory or their country. With all the agreement that they implemented in a way of declaring peace is, I think, the cold winner. The Spanish-American War was come to an end on December 10 with the signing of the Treaty of Paris as the required of the control of many overseas Spain holding the once proud Spanish war was all but destroyed. The Philippines purchased $20 million and the Cuba was become a U.S. territory, and Puerto Rico and Guam was transferred to the country. Insurgents of the Philippines who had battled for independence from Spanish domination from the war promptly turned their weapons against the new occupiers, and then as many Americans soldiers died, replacing the Philippines as they did in fighting in Spain. So the next topic is Jose Rizal retraction controversy. Rizal himself thought that there was a good chance of fraud occurring his passing, with the fears of the archbishops serving as the main perpetrator, the friars fervently requesting his retractions. Even multiple retraction formulas was created for him to sign. After being named as the leader of the Philippine Revolution, Dr. Jose Rizal was detained, brought before by the Spanish court-martial, and ultimately found guilty and given the death penalty. After spending several hours being persuaded by the Jesuit priest, Rizal purportedly recanted his Masonic beliefs on December 3, 1896 and reverted back to the Catholicism that Rizal signed, entitled of The Retraction of a Few Hours before he was Catholic, declaring his Catholic faith and retraction all of his writings critical of the church. Well, I believe he is a true hero and no fear human being that we never had. I salute to you, Dr. Jose Rizal, because you are the true hero that the country is proud of. The topic is all about the convention between US and Great Britain. So the convention of the The convention between the US and the Great Britain was an agreement between the governments of the United Kingdom and the United States to definitely delimit the boundary between North Borneo because they desired the independence from the British. The colonists battled the British. In Article 3 stated that all island to the north and the east of the said line and islands and rocks are traversed by the said line shall belong to the Philippine archipelago, and all islands to the south and west of the said line shall belong to the state of the Borneo. Therefore, they have to give back from the other country what they don't belong, and also to be fair to other countries based on their agreement. I can say that Great Britain have done things that might result a good relationship to the people and also gain trust to other countries and have a peaceful life. So the agreement was signed on January 2, 1930. The colonists believed they were being unfairly tasked, treated like a children, and disregarded when they tried to voice their complaints. Political principles solidified, religious problems came to the fore, and economic as usual was at the heart of many discussions. But at the end, they have their own government, thanks to the nice talk that happened that they are now an independent country. The President Emilio Aguinaldo declaration of war on the United States against the Spanish colonial administration in the Philippines. Emilio Aguinaldo led a revolutionary movement to protect and preserve the territory. In his declaration, Aguinaldo gave 3 orders. First, that all ties of amity and goodwill between American and the Philippine forces be severed, and the latter be treated as enemy. Second, that the American captured be treated as prisoners of war. And third, that copies of the declaration be given to all the consuls in Manila and in the Congress. Aguinaldo was disappointed that Americans in a way of disguising themselves that they are allies and liberators, but in the end, they are the one who attacked the Philippines. Aguinaldo calling God to be bear witness to his good faith and the sincerity of his intentions. He issued the following orders and commands in response to the unexpected provocation under the pressure from the obligations imposed upon him by the honor and patriotism, and for the defense of the nation entrusted to him. He believes that the final say is in God, which he needs the guides and the protection from God to his country and to his people. As a student, I am proud and admire Emilio Aguinaldo, the president before, because of his bravery just to protect his people. The Treaty of Peace between the US and the Spain. The 13 articles that make up the Treaty of the Paris define the terms, obligations, and the benefits that the government of the Spain and the United States may take advantage of with regard to the surrendered islands. In addition to releasing all claims to Cuba, sovereignty and ownership to the United States, Spain also gave up control of the Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. The Spain paid $20 million in compensation for the ceding of the Philippines. The Treaty of Peace between the United States and the Spain brings us freedom and peace to each and every one of us, and also to our country. The Spanish-American War was put an end by the Treaty of the Paris, which Spain and the United States signed on December 10, 1898. The US acquired Guam, the Philippines Islands, Puerto Rico, and other islands in the West Indies as a result of the treaty, and Cuba achieved freedom from Spain. The 1935 Constitution. Our country decided to create a political system founded on democratic values of representation, accountability, and the rule of law. According to the 1935 Constitution, It outlines the structures of the government as well as the how the equal branches of the legislative, executive, and the judicial system are given equal authority. The Commonwealth government, which was in place in 10 years as a transitional government before the US granted the Philippines its independence, had its legal foundations established by the 1935 Constitution. Manuel Rojas signed the Constitution. He was the influential member of the Committee on Estado, often known as the Seven Wise Men, who had been major of the influence on the 1935 Constitution. Final draft. The 1935 Constitution describes the decision that made by our country to create a political system based on democratic values. The 1943 Constitution, the Second Republic of the Philippines, which was supported by the Japan, had a constitution that was adopted by in 1943 and in 1943 to 1945. The Japanese kept an eye on the Constitution, drafting that and gave Jose P. Laurel members the directive that the document should adhere to the guiding principles. The PCPI unanimously accepted the proposed Constitution in September 1943, and it was then presented for approval at a Calig-onan Assembly in Manila. The 1943 Constitution lists the responsibilities and the rights of the populace, mandates that the Tagalog become the country official language, and direct that the new constitution can be drafted and approved 1 year after the end of either the Great Asia War of the World War II. The Filipino people requesting for the assistance divine providence and desiring to live in freedom as a nation, hereby I declare their independence. Post-truth. The internet is a vast network where individuals may exchange their news, ideas, events, knowledge, experience, and lives. In addition to serving as a digital repository for our culture, for our cultural legacy, we have immediate access to this system thanks to satellites. Our perceptions is more intuitive than cognitive since we lack the means to independently verify those messages and are forced to rely on the information we have been given. The use of logic, deduction, argumentation, or facts is not relevant to intuition. Instead, it is influenced by ambivalent psychological notions like stereotyping, analogical thinking, expressive appeal, in-group favoritism, and out-group animosity, generalization, etc. The media influence is too great for the check and balances to work.